So right now we're seeing on the hourly, we're starting to see some of the altcoins making a move to the upside, but also we're starting to see Bitcoin grind its way up, sitting at around about that $94,900 at the moment. But yeah, the altcoins are starting to slowly grind up, but obviously they're dictated by whatever Bitcoin does. But on the weekly, altcoins are down generally around that 10 to 14% at the moment on the weekly, and the monthly, it's just a total bloodbath. A lot of altcoins are down 53%, 42%, and you've got the odd ones who are up, like Token, which is BGB, which is from Bitget Exchange, which obviously is slightly up at the moment because obviously they had a burn not so long ago. We've got SPX, Virtual Hype, and A116Z, whatever that is up 154%. So, but mainly a lot of the altcoins are down. But today it's going to be a very big day for the crypto market and also for the stock market as well. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But I'm going to talk about CRO and crypto.com, Bitcoin, and also the Bitcoin dominance, because Bitcoin dominance, I feel like, is going to get ready for a big move down to the downside. But today is going to be a very volatile day. It could either be to the upside or down to the downside. So you've got to be prepared for either situation right now. So obviously we can have a look at the fear on the stock markets. The fear and greed at the moment is in fear because obviously we've had economic data earlier this week, which shows that the unemployment numbers have been dropping down. So does that mean the Federal Reserve will start to do a pause or may well not, obviously, because we've got the FOMC coming later on this month. So we're obviously very data dependent. And today is going to be a very important data coming out, which is obviously going to help make them make their decision in what they do later on this month in terms of, are they going to pause or are they actually going to still start cutting 25 basis points or 50 basis points? I don't think it's going to be 50. If they were going to cut, I think it's going to be about 25, because we know this year we're probably looking at maybe, 2 to 3 other rate cuts. Who knows? At the moment, it's very data dependent. And obviously now we've got President Trump coming in, and obviously that could just change everything totally. But anyway, at the moment, we see a lot of fear in the traditional markets. And now we're starting to see a little bit of a movement now on the fear and greed index for the crypto market. We were in greed yesterday, and now we're starting to drop down. We're now starting to become in fear because we're seeing a lot of people starting to panic now. We see that on X. We start to see people starting to talk about, like, this is the bear market now. Is this the start of the bear market? And they're starting to sell. Because, with all this big drop we've had a lot about this, about $6.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. It's going to be sold. I personally think that's going to be over the counter, so we're not really going to see any major price movement being sold on the market itself. I think it's going to be OTC when it does happen, but obviously this has put a lot of fear into people, and a lot of people who bought at the top have just been selling, and then what you do is you get that cascading effect down to the downside. But it seems to be leveling off at the moment. But like I said, today may be a little bit different. But before I get to that, let's have a look at CRO at the moment. So CRO really hasn't done much more. Yes, we have been on that downward trend from when we hit around about that 23 pence. And from that point, we've just been going down. But all the altcoins have been doing down. But overall, I'm not worried about CRO at all because the technicals are still in place. Also, we've got a lot of fundamentals with the roadmap 2025 for the Cronos and crypto.com. Potential burns on the rising. But also, we've got an extra liquidity, which could well be coming in soon. I'll get into that in just a minute. But the technicals at the moment is looking quite fine. What I am watching out for here, because what we saw here was the 50, earlier back in around about the 5th of November, we had that 50 moving average crossing over that 20 moving average. And we had that big impulsive wave move to the upside. And obviously, we knew a bit more about the roadmap. But what we've had is that downward trend at the moment. We've lost that 20 EMA, which is in the green there, and the 50 EMA, which is in the orange. We've lost that. But what I am carefully watching right now for CRO, what I really want us to see is basically start to break out and see this here. I want to see that start to curve up. And I want to see the 50-day moving average start to move over and cross over, because then that'll be quite bullish then for CRO with a potential move to the upside. That's what I'm hoping I'm going to see, because we saw the same thing around about here. Then we saw the bearishness where we saw the 20 crossing over the 50, and then we had that drop down to the downside. So if we could get that crossover from the 50 to the 20, that's going to be fairly bullish in my opinion. And it's not going to take much if we get some really, really bullish news. Because what I am watching out for at the moment is Kraken, CRO to get listed on the Kraken. Now, obviously, this was mentioned yesterday on X and such like, but I'm watching out for that because when we look at CRO, we're on the Coinbase exchange, OKX, Upbit, BitGet, KuCoin, Mexi, Gatehouse. So we are on a few exchanges, but we're missing one, which is actually Kraken and Binance. But we can see on here, when we look at Kraken and go to their roadmap, and then we start to click down, and we can actually see right here now, tokens listed of new tokens on previous integrated blockchain. And we can see right here on the roadmap that tokens to be listed. And we can see here, Cronos is one of those to be listed. Now, when is that going to be listed? I'm not too sure. With 27 new tokens coming soon, so it could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be next week or next month before CRO gets listed. But what we want to see is we want to see this get listed, because what it will do is, just like with the Coinbase and the others like Upbit and Mexi, it brings that extra liquidity into the CRO token. So obviously that extra liquidity comes in, especially when we get big moves to the upside. It's going to get people who are on the Kraken to start buying that CRO. Because some people you find are dedicated to different exchanges. I am with crypto.com and people with Coinbase and Binance. So we've got all that one to bear in mind. So hopefully we get this listed for CRO, which is going to bring that extra liquidity. Now, so obviously you just got to keep an eye on it. It's worth coming on now and again and start checking on the blog, asset listings, because we see Moondeg, Swag been listed, Nero's been listed, and when it gets listed, it will either be put on X or it will be put on here as well. So it's worth just checking out X on as well as coming to this website here, asset listings. So it's worth checking it out because that's going to be really bullish for CRO. And also, I'll be watching out for, you never know, Binance may come to the rescue as well. But at the moment, we can see CRO at the moment, the market cap of 3.79 billion. The volume is sitting at 55 million. So at the moment, everything's all right, not too bad. Everything's still in line. I'm not worried about the price action at all because we're still moving between those two white lines, which is in consolidation at the moment. So, like I said, I'm hoping that happens. What I want to see is I want the 50 crossing over the 20, and then hopefully that will give us a trigger to move to the upside. But if we get news about burns or any kind of licenses come in, obviously that's going to be quite bullish and make the move to the upside. So overall, it's looking very good. But today is a big, big day because today we've got unemployment rate, which is basically forecasted at 4.2. Previous was 4.2. What will it be today? So anything below, in my opinion, I might be wrong on this because the stock markets in the economy are very, very, how can I put it? You expect it, all good data comes out, you expect it to pump and then you find out it dumps. So you just got to be very careful on this. So anything below, in my opinion, 42%, then Bitcoin is likely to make a move up, putting in the higher lows. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Now, if it comes to about 4.2 to 4.3, I think we may start ranging, and that could be anywhere between 85 to 110,000. So I know it's a wide gap, but that's what I think could happen, is most likely. Maybe Bitcoin dominance drops during that chop and allows for alts to make a move to the upside. That's what I'm thinking, because I'll get the Bitcoin dominance in a minute. But this is the warning sign here. If above 4.3, then we could be heading for another correction down to the downside. Now, obviously, Bitcoin starts dropping down, the altcoins will even drop down even harder. So I'm watching CRO very, very carefully. And I'm thinking if we do, we could come back down to that 12 pence kind of mark, even that 11 pence mark. We could even come down to the 200-day moving average here, which is around about that 11 pence. So obviously, if Bitcoin has a massive dump down to the downside, alts are going to get absolutely slaughtered, in my opinion. So just be careful out there. That's all I'm saying, because Bitcoin at the moment is in a very fragile kind of situation at the moment. Because don't forget, we've had the Christmas break. Liquidity is pretty much dry at the moment. It's not really much liquidity there. And that will start to come back over time. But at the moment, Bitcoin is just chopping around sideways. So we're looking on the daily at the moment. And we can see here, we've got the 20 crossing over the 50. And basically, like we said before, this could be the area of like a bit of bearishness, a bit of consolidation, but we've got a lot of support here at 94 now. We've also created a lot of support down around about that 90,000 kind of mark and towards the 87. So if we did drop down to there, we have got support down there ever drop down that, next support, I think, is around about this area of $77,000, and then further down to, which I don't want to see, is 67,000. But at the moment, the oscillator is pushing down. But obviously, we've got the relevant strength index here, which is starting to tick back up. But we're a long way from hitting all-time high. Because if I just go, if I really, really zoom out on the, and go to the 12-month, which makes me quite bullish on an extremely long term. This is not short term. This is major, major long term. We could see back here in 2015, we had 1, 2, 3, and then back we had the bear market, and then we had another 1, 2, 3 blue candles, which would normally be green candles, mine are blue. We had, so basically these are what white soldiers. So we had 3 white soldiers, bear market, 3 white soldiers, bear market, and look right where we are now. We're only coming up to the 3rd one. So we've had 1 soldier, 2 soldier, and now we're coming up to the 3rd soldier as well. So I'm hoping we're going to get a bit of a surge towards the upside for the 3rd white soldier. So keep an eye on that on the yearly. I know that's the yearly, and that's really, really zooming out. But like I said, a lot of times you want to just zoom out. And then we can have a quick look at the weekly as well. The weekly is your trend, is your friend, and the trend is still up. And at the moment, we're not oversold now. We're undersold. So we're coming at around about that 64, 65% on relative strength index. We have got a grey dot coming down here, but money flow is starting to come back up on the oscillator. So overall, it's looking at which direction do we go. And I think today is going to be that day where we might get that direction. And don't forget, on the 20th, volatility will come again for the inauguration, I think, in terms of President Trump. But also, Quinton says here, don't get shaken out. And this is where he says we're in a bear trap. That's what he's thinking at the moment. You can get closer here. He thinks we're around about here now, and we're getting ready for renewed optimism, then FOMO towards the upside. But I'm watching Bitcoin dominance as well. I'm watching that very carefully because at the moment, I think we're topping out. Personally, I think we've broken down from that upward edge, and now we're dropping down. I think at some point we're going to get a big drop down to the downside. We see money flow with the oscillator coming out as well. We've got the first grey dot, another grey dot being formed here. So I think we might well get a drop down to the downside. So we've got a lot of things happening at the moment in the markets, in the traditional markets, in the crypto markets. And now at the end of the day, it's up to you what you do. If you want to sell, that's entirely up to you. But I know there's a lot of anger and frustration in the markets right now. But to be honest with you, it's up to you. Everybody's in different financial situations. I'm not selling anything. I've been DCAing in, to be honest. But like I said, everybody's very different in how their approach is. But I think it's absolutely crazy for me to sell right now. I think we're getting this dump. And like I said, every time we get pumps to the upside, we're going to get dumps. We're going to get corrections. And if we keep moving up, we're going to get corrections. So you just got to bear that one in mind. Are you going to be more angry if you sell now or if you've already sold and then we start blasting off to the upside and then you're going to get even more angry because you've missed the boat and you're going to have to wait another, 3 years, 4 years before the next bull market? So, everybody, it's up to you in what you do, but be very careful today. It could be up to the upside and very down to downside. So if you're leverage trading, personally, it's something I would not do at all because this could be wicking up and down like anything. So the market is open in the US today. It was closed yesterday. It's open today. So volatility is going to be coming in. So take care out there, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Take care.